I could feel myself vibrating as the crisp breeze sorted through my hair. The sounds of rolling engines and the hollering snowman army behind us. Children hopping up and down, Christmas lights blinking all around. As I reached the crest of the hill, a sudden warmth filled my eyes with tears of pure joy. This was the beginning of the end of a decades-long fight. For years, my school has been known as that school, the one that people scoff at and make jokes about. The one that people make prejudgments about based on what we look like and where we come from. And those prejudgments can have enormous impacts on communities. It can impact communities' access to resources, the attention paid to them by policymakers, and severely impacts the community's sense of pride. In society, people look at the information that's most easily accessible to them. News, rumors, and stories, and make judgments. So, by a show of hands, raise your hands if you've ever felt judged by somebody who has never known you before. Yeah, it's universal. Whether you're a person of color, an immigrant, a member of the LGBTQIA+ community, or any group, you know how it feels. So, as student body president of my school, I made it my mission to try to change that perception, to change that stigma. So for months, I thought to myself, what have people tried to do in the past to change others' perceptions in their own communities? A lot of times, big groups take to the streets and protest, declaring with all of their souls what they need to be seen, heard, and valued in society. But for people with years of stereotyping experience compounding those misconceptions, a lot of times those words, when you're telling them, they go in one ear and out the other. When you let people see who you are, see what you're like, that makes all the difference. So while I absolutely love protest for what it does to affect laws and bring attention to issues, the mission to change people's perception is completely different. It gets at the root of discrimination, and you have to really ask yourself, where has this perspective come from? And what misconception has affected my community or your community the most? And to address this, you have to let people come to see you for themselves and form their own new opinions. So, if people feel that my community is less than, is fractured, is unworthy, then let's throw a parade and show them what we're really like. Look. A parade can have it attracts a wide audience of people. They're a lot of fun. And they get to showcase your community, whether it be your community organizations and businesses. It has a huge impact. So, at least this was my pitch to the Student Government Association, that as the years go on and more people come to see what we're like, that could finally have an impact on the stigma. It took a lot of convincing to try to show my team the link between a parade and social change. And honestly, that's the thing about creativity. You are creating something that is completely new and is up to interpretation. So when I was talking about this event, I knew that I had to know everything about this. I had to know answers to questions that people hadn't even thought to ask yet. Because if I displayed confidence and conviction in this idea, then hopefully they would trust me enough to go along with it. And they did. So it happened. And I want you to take a good look at these pictures. When I look at it, I see love, I see family, I see unity, and thus I see power. And finally, other people are starting to see it too. A local newspaper covered it. Our state lawmakers came to recognize us. And people from all across the county got to see it for themselves as well. finally, when we dared to think different, when we tried something different, we had an impact. We saw a change. We did see that change. And changing people's perceptions and perspectives does have an enormous impact. It can change a community's own sense of self-worth, and it can have an insurmountable impact on policy, and it certainly did for us. Since 2008, for 16 years, my community has been fighting for over $100 million in deferred systemic maintenance needs to be addressed. And now, just days ago and just months after this parade, the county executive has proposed in his upcoming budget to fully fund the project. Changing people's hearts and minds makes a difference. Being creative in changing people's perception makes a difference. So, as it turns out, a parade saved the day. To speak more broadly, it can absolutely feel discouraging when you're trying to approach systemic issues, to try to change years of misconceptions. And that's okay. It's okay to feel that way. But know that within yourself, you can find that creativity. You can find that, you can think bold and find something new and change the stigma. So, while I'm not saying that a parade is the solution to discrimination or low voter turnout or sexism or racism, I am absolutely saying that society could benefit from thinking outside the box, creating new avenues to change hearts and minds, and fix systemic issues. Thank you.